This is Mark Bell from Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. And I'm here today with Forsaken Warrior.
What's up?
And Forsaken Warrior Jr.
Hello.
This video that we're putting together today is about the bench press, and it's for Bodybuilding.com. So Bodybuilding.com fans, enjoy what we're going to preach to you today. I have never actually seen Steven. I've never actually seen him lift before in person. I've only seen him just do a deadlift the other day. Never seen him bench. So what I always like to do as a coach, I always like to see what he can do first, and then we're going to judge it from there. So before we do that, we're just going to go over some brief setup, which is more for you guys out there. He is a seasoned lifter. He knows what's going on. 843-pound deadlift.
Yep.
How much in the squat?
804.
And how much in the bench?
501.
See, he already knows how to bench. He's already really strong, but what does he want to do? What do you want to do?
Get stronger.
He wants to keep getting stronger. This mission, as you guys will find out, never ends. So we're going to have my boy Smokey come over here, and we're going to demo how to bench press. So the first way that we're going to show you how to bench press is just his normal way of benching. So notice he just sat down, right? You want to try to get a routine for every little piece of this puzzle that you start to work on. Why do you want it to be a routine? Because you want it so etched into your body, and you want it to be so routine, no matter where you go or when you have to lift, you're going to do it the same way every single time, even though the lights are going to be different, the crowd's going to be different, the gym's going to be different, the bench is going to be different, the weights are going to be different. But guess what stays the same? Is you and your little mini routine that you go through each and every time that you set up on the bench. So he's just going to set up the way he normally would. I'm going to talk you through it. So let's just talk about for a second what he just did right there. So unwind all that stuff for me, please. Okay, first thing that we do at Super Training Gym whenever we're teaching bench, squat, or deadlift, we always utilize the bar to get in position for the lift. This is no different. It's a bench press. We're going to utilize that barbell. We're going to basically swing off that barbell to get ourselves into position. So right now he's flat as a pancake. He's as flat as he can be. He can feel his back pressed up against the pad. Now he's going to reverse and kind of undo a lot of this to get him in a much safer and much stronger bench pressing position. So watch him pick himself up. He's going to tuck those shoulders into his back pocket, bringing his shoulder blades, rolling them inward and downward towards his butt. So have him do it one more time. Got to get this guy some exercise. He's looking a little chunky. Also notice what he's doing with the feet before you go anywhere. Notice that when he wiggles into position, that his feet are going to remain where they are. Now this is the way that he likes to bench press. I think you're 5'7", 8?
6.
He's 5'6", and so this is the way that he likes to bench press, because if he had his feet flat, he probably wouldn't feel like he had enough power and enough stability to bench press the way that he needs to bench press. Check your federation. Some federations don't allow you to have your heel off the ground. So here he goes, setting himself into position. The feet stayed where they were, and the back was tightened up. We're going to do this one more time. So let's watch from the shoulders here on this one. Watch what he does with his shoulders. And then watch at the end what he does here with his hips now. What are you doing there with your hips? You're pushing yourself this way?
Driving into my shoulders.
He's driving into his shoulders. He's bench pressing off of his traps. Remember, I say this time and time again, so you guys should already know this message, but I say it over and over and over again. The reason why we are arching in the first place is to create more stability and to shorten the range of motion. If we arch any further, and we don't improve those two results, then we're just arching for arching's sake, and it could be a position, you could be getting in a position where it could be harmful for you. But in this case, this isn't harmful. This is what you're supposed to do. Even though he's laying flat, there's still some space between him and the bench press right here, because that's the natural curvature of your spine. So what he's going to do, he's taking his upper body, he's going to pinch his shoulder blades not only together, but also downward. We do that on bench, squat, and deadlift. Taking those shoulder blades, jamming them in the back pocket. And Mr. Cameraman, if you can come up here and catch this angle here. I'm going to get a little touchy-feely with him. But you see how that shoulder blade is locked in the socket. It's locked back into the shoulder blade. Also, you see, like, I can't really see his armpits. If he unravels all this, I can see his armpits a lot, right? He gets the tension back on. This is the way it should be. His arms are real solid. His chest, his whole body is really solid. He's in a good, solid position to hit a bench press. So now he's going to take the weight out of the rack finally, and we're actually going to get into some bench pressing. So from here, he's going to take the weight down. As he takes the weight down, he's trying to bend the bar over his body. He's pulling the weight into himself a little bit. As he presses back up, he's going to push up and back towards that outstanding beard that he has there. He's going to come down again. You would like to try to keep your wrist straight, but everybody's going to bench a little bit differently. The position of his wrist is good right here. They are slightly cocked back a little bit. Yes, I said cocked. His wrist is cocked back a little bit. One thing that we're really looking at, if you can come from an overview up here, we can see where the barbell is in relation to his elbows and wrists. His elbows and wrists, you'll notice, are on this side of the barbell. They're on this side of the barbell. That's where they should be. If his elbows are not tucked in properly, then they're going to be on the outside. And he really doesn't have a whole lot of strength to press from that range of motion. So the elbows are tucked into the sides. Doesn't have to be severe. He doesn't have to go ahead and take him in even deeper. It doesn't have to be, like now he's in some funky, weird position, right? He's not going to be able to bench press out of there. So he's going to undo that a little bit. He's got good stability. He feels good, in a good position to press. He's going to push up and back. You can do a couple reps in a row so you can kind of see what that looks like. There we go. All right, so a crucial element of the bench press is to utilize your lats. Your lats, your back is what you're laying on. It helps to stabilize you. To demonstrate, we happen to have a bodybuilder in the house, and she's going to show us how to nail that front chest pose. That's going to be the same exact thing that you're doing out of the bottom of the bench press when you're trying to get that momentum and you're trying to build speed and power off the bottom of the bench press. Your lats are going to be something that has to be engaged, and this is pretty much how you do it. Oh, she's getting the legs in there.
Yeah, gotta practice.
And you can see how far out the lats come. They're not just under the armpit, that goes all the way down into her waist. When you're bench pressing, I'll go head to head with her right here. When you're bench pressing, it's going to be that same thing where you're trying, I can't even keep my hands in the right position, I'm not mobile enough. But you're going to be in here and you're trying to flex your chest up as high as you can, and you're trying to keep those lats tight. Show us from the back. There you go. Yeah, you want to flare those lats out as you're coming out of the bottom of the bench press. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another thing I see, a really common thing I see in bench pressing is a lot of times people tend to overpress. So they'll do some reps, they're feeling good, they're going too fast, and they're not paying attention to their form, and every single time they're kind of unwinding the bench press. They're not staying locked in. They're not staying screwed into the bench press. Again, your arms are out. If this is the worst possible position to bench press, all we would do from here is pull our chest up and pull our elbows kind of down and in a little bit, flex the lats. Now you're in this weird mummy position, but this is an excellent, strong position to bench press from. Now we're gonna have Forsaken Warrior hop in here and start warming up. Oh my God, where can I get these? You can buy this on Bodybuilding.com. How about that? So stand up. This guy's fat, he's trying to do everything sitting down.
Oh, yeah. Just 8.
This is pretty bad cheating, putting the slingshot over top of the elbow sleeves. But we're not using it for benching just yet. We just have it on just to show them something. So what I want you to do is put your arms in like a bench press position, however wide you go. Maybe come back a little bit here, yep. Now what I'm going to have them do is just go ahead and pull back harder. Feel that tightness through your back. Now press as hard as you can. Pull, and when you feel you can't pull anymore, pull more, and then press. Okay, now what we're going to do when you actually bench, here in a second, I'm going to have him, what I call post the weight in his triceps, which just means hold the weight out extended for just a brief period of time by himself, he's still gonna get a lift off. But once the lift off guy's hands is off the bar, and once he's holding the weight by himself, he'll hold it for a brief second, and he's gonna get himself ready to bench like a motherfucker. He's gonna get himself ready to take that weight down aggressively and not mess around with it and not leave the weight any time to really even register it into his body. So again, put your hands out wide again, like for bench. And now, you know, pretend you're bringing the weight out. And as soon as you feel ready, bring your arms down fast and press hard. Boom. Good. Pull this off. So try to remember the way that felt. We're gonna do 3 reps here. So again, the shoulders are locked in, chest is nice and high.
1, 2, 3, up. Ow.
Pull it down and in hard. There you go, good. Nice, last one. Good. There you go. And it's gonna take some time. Do you normally bench fast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he already benches with some speed, and so that's gonna help, and he's super explosive on the other lifts as well. But for some of you watching this, it might take you some time to adapt to that. You can have another day of your training session where you are actually just working on the form, the technique, and the practice of the lift. There's nothing wrong with going into the gym and just using, if you're a 300-pound bencher, there's nothing wrong with going in the gym and just using 95 pounds for the day. It's just practice. You got to practice what you're working on. You have to refine your form and technique over and over and over again. When you're trying to lift fast, you're trying to increase the amount of force that you're producing, and you're also trying to clean up your technique. Your form and technique is going to be crucial. When your form, technique, speed, and power come together, you end up totaling over 2,100 pounds like he has. We had Forsaken Warrior, had him change his shoes because we were going to try any and everything to increase his strength. So the advantage of wearing an Olympic lifting shoe is it just raises your heel off the ground a little bit. Before, he was raising his heel on his own, and in my opinion, his feet might have been back underneath him a little bit too much. So we're gonna mess around with this, and we're gonna use 365 pounds, maybe even for a couple sets, to see how this feels for him. Now, the first time he does it, it's probably gonna feel like crap. So it might take a little bit of adjusting and a little nitpicking and stuff like that to figure out exactly what's gonna work the best. So let's have you lay back for a bench. And bring your feet like under your hamstrings about, yep. Maybe towards me a little bit more. With your feet. There you go. And maybe this is gonna hurt your hips, but maybe a little wider with your feet. There we go. Now we wanna flex and push towards him. And let's go. Let him pull it out to you. Pull the weight out of the rack.
3, up. Ow.
Just a single. Good. 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 Butt stayed down. Looked like you're in good position. Might feel a little foreign to you, but let's roll with that for a few sets. How do you feel?
The only thing that was weird was going out like a little wider.
Yeah.
And I could feel it more.
Oh yeah, it could be devastating. A lot of times before bench pressing workouts, we'll warm up our lower body. We'll do something like the couch stretch to try to open up the hips before we start our bench pressing session. The bench press is pretty brutal on your lower body. No one really ever thinks about it, but the position that we're trying to hold is kind of awkward. I just don't think our body is really even designed to do it, but we have to do it. We're power lifters, and it's part of what we're asked to do. So we do have to maintain this weird position for a couple seconds in a powerlifting meet. And in my opinion, the best way for somebody, stand up for a second. You guys can see he's taller than me. For someone who's well, he's got the Olympic lifting lift there, but he is about the same height or taller than me. And as you start to get taller, I think it's a mistake to have your feet back behind you too far, just because I think it puts too much pressure on your back. Plus, with how thick he is and everything, I think it's not a great idea. So we're going to play with it for a few more sets, and we're going to see what happens. A common mistake that many people will make is they will push towards the guy that's lifting off for them. And what I was just explaining here to Forsaken Warrior was to, if anything, try to pull the weight out of the rack rather than push it. It's a lot of wasted energy. It makes it a lot harder for the lift-off guy to get those weights out to you. So try to really pull those weights into you. It's gonna help you engage your lats earlier. If you're pushing, a lot of times that's gonna leave those shoulders out of place. If you're pushing up and back, then your shoulder's gonna be like this the whole time. You're not even gonna be able to really be able to tap into your lats or your chest, because you're gonna be like this the whole time. And you need to be like this. So pull those weights out. The elbow might even be just slightly bent a tiny bit. Triceps are still real strong and tight. Do that one more time. Stay flat. Okay, try to relax a little bit more and try to breathe as you get into position. You get a nice breath. Kind of like stretching. Like if you're stretching and you're not breathing, you're gonna be wound pretty tight. Okay, good. Now let's get those elbows down and in a little bit right now. There we go. And he's gonna hand it out to you.
1, 2, 3, up, out.
Start. There you go. Drive it. Good. Good, looking good.
On the lift off, so when he told me to turn my elbow in to get tighter, I could really feel my lat engaging really hard. Down here, almost to the point where I was like, oh man, I felt really locked in at that one. So
what that'll do is he mentioned that his left shoulder tends to hurt here and there. When your shoulder's locked back into position where it should be, it's gonna take a lot of stress off it. So if this monster, how old are you?
32.
If he can keep going hard the way he is, even for just another 3 years without any injuries, what he's gonna be able to do is gonna be amazing. He's gonna be able to probably deadlift almost 900 pounds. He'll probably be able to squat close to the same.
Yeah.
And he'll be benching mid-5s or maybe even close to 6. It's just a matter of time. He's already putting in the effort. The guy already works out like an absolute lunatic. I know some of you may have seen his Instagram. You might have seen some of the YouTube clips of him lifting like a maniac, deadlifting like a maniac. What goes through your mind before you go and do some of those big deadlifts sometimes?
Just a whole bunch of hatred. All the bad things that have happened to me in my life, just trying to get like real psyched up and real passionate about it in that moment to get me just pulling crazy. So
just get yourself fired up.
get fired up and just get as crazy as possible. You know?
All right, we're gonna load that weight up a little bit more. Here we go. Let's rewind that one more time. I think you can do a better job at arching. Let me come back there for a second. There's 3 different spots where your spine should be able to arch. Unfortunately, I probably only have one of those areas that can arch, so I can like barely pull my shoulder blades together. But he's been powerlifting for 20 less years than me, so he can move a little bit better. So as he goes to pick himself up, I'm actually gonna maneuver him into position a little bit myself. So go ahead and pick yourself up. And we're gonna tuck him in here. There we go, good. Let's try it one more time, come back again. Let's try to pull this area right here up as much as we can. So we need a lot of arch from this area, not so much low back, but kind of mid, okay? So here we go, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Good, give him a lift off. You guys can practice that at home, very easy to do. Just pushing somebody's shoulders and traps towards their feet. Good, pull the weight out.
Out.
Start. Press. There you go. Good. That is looking fucking beautiful.
Feels good.
It looks really good. 455, sound good?
Haven't been that high in a while. Let's try it.
Let's go 10-5 then. I don't want you doing anything you're not feeling ready for. All right, so we got 435 pounds on the bar, which I have just been informed that it's 87% of his 500-pound bench. We're gonna have him try it here. We're gonna use the same form. It seems like we're getting him more and more locked in, so I'm expecting it to fly up like the other ones have. There you go, good. You locked it in, you're locked in, you're ready to go.
Ready.
Up. Out.
Start. Press. Nice. Very good. Really clean. How's it feeling so far? Feeling some differences with your back and your feet and stuff?
My back's definitely much tighter. I was squeezing so hard at one point, I started getting actually like a cramp in my lat.
Right.
So I'm just trying to stay really tight. But otherwise, it feels like it's flying up pretty good. You know, the normal points that it slows down, that it's starting to show now. I could feel it right about here, and then trying to fight it all the way through the lockout. So
when it comes to that, when it comes to some of these different spots where people get stuck, you know, frequently asked questions on the bench press are, how do I build speed out of the bottom? How do I work on my lockout? I'll answer the second one first. To work on your lockout, we have close grip work, can be really beneficial. He's gonna throw a slingshot on in a little bit. Using a slingshot can help quite a bit because it's gonna help you overload, gonna help you handle up to about 10% more of your max. So if you do something like 405, you're gonna be able to now handle like 445, 450 range. So it's gonna allow you to handle more weight. You're able to do more weight and more reps and more sets, and you end up with more volume. You end up lifting more than you normally would under normal circumstances. And when you build up more volume is when you start to get a lot stronger. The other thing the slingshot does is it helps you to avoid pain. If you have pain in your shoulders and elbows, it's a great transition piece to use for a few weeks while you might be banged up. You can also just use it for those heavier sets when your body doesn't feel ready to handle some of those heavier weights. In here, we use it many, many different ways. You also, when it comes to building up that lockout power, we have the close grip bench, we have the slingshot bench press, we also have incline bench press. You can use dumbbells, but I think an incline barbell press works your lockout a little bit better. And the reason for that, it would be the equivalent of a deficit deadlift in the deadlift. A deficit deadlift can actually sometimes help your lockout because the range of motion and the duration of which you're under tension with the barbell is longer. And so same thing with the incline press, where you're taking that ability to like arch out of it, and now you're kind of just flat back, and now it's just kind of you versus the weight, and there's really not any tricks to any incline benching, although sometimes you see the guys in the gym throwing their hips way off the, or trying to launch it down to their stomach. But you'll find out that every rep that you start to stutter on a little bit on an incline bench is always right here. You go, "Er." Every time you're able to push it up off your chest pretty good, and then it just gets stuck. So some incline barbell work can help quite a bit for lockout. What are some things you use to help your lockout?
Definitely inclines, overhead pressing, that seemed to help me out a lot, and then just hammering triceps a lot more too.
With tricep extensions, things like that?
Yeah, even like doing like a JM press or something like that. That just seems to help. Spoto press, stuff like that too.
All right, here we go, 455.
Come on.
Listen to me, I'm gonna give you commands, all right? Here we go. Same thing, get that same setup going. Lock those feet in.
One, two, three, up, out.
Start. Press. There you go, good, rack. That was a really good press. One thing I saw that was a little bit different about that one is his feet were actually back underneath him a little bit more. It's powerlifting. Stuff's not gonna be comfortable, and you gotta get yourself comfortable with the uncomfortable, but you don't wanna make yourself too uncomfortable. So I think if you just, let's get you back in position again. Just go ahead and set up. I'd like to see your heels under your knees more. So have your heels that way a little bit more. About right there. Okay, now make sure you leave your feet where they are though, okay? And go ahead and scoot yourself into position. That's plenty, like that's plenty stressful to even maintain that. Before, your feet were under like your butt. So in my opinion, which my opinion is always right, I'm the people's coach, we all know that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can I get a hell yeah? In my opinion, the best place for your feet to be is under your knees, which would look like this. I'll have Smokey come back up here and lay down on the bench for a second. So just scoot your feet out a little bit, out this way more. There you go, like right about there, like under the knees, right? And you could do that with your foot up, the way he prefers to bench, or you could do that with your feet down, either way. And then the other way would just be your feet under your hamstrings a little bit more. I don't really think that your feet in general, each person's gonna be a little different. If you're like 5'1" or something, you're crazy flexible and you're a female, then you might wanna just anchor your feet down whatever way you can to get the best results. But those are the two different foot positions that you're gonna have for the bench press. It should be a little stressful, but it shouldn't be that hard to get in position. You should be able to keep and maintain a good solid position throughout the entire range of motion. Let's go now, same setup.
Pull it out.
Pull that weight out of the rack. Feet under the knees a little bit more, so scoot them forward a little bit towards the end of the bench. There we go, good. Pull that weight out of the rack. Here we go. Listen to my commands. I got you.
1, 2, 3, up, out.
Start. Press. Start. Press. There you go, good. Clean. The reason why I'm yelling those commands at him is A, that's what we do in powerlifting meets. We have commands that we have to listen to. And then also, the other reason why I'm doing it for him is just to give him a cue to start fast. And he was having a little bit of trouble as the weight got heavier. He was struggling a little bit to go fast. The Slingshot is now giving him enough protection to where he can go faster. So, you know, in a lot of his training, he'll utilize this. He's coached by Josh Bryant, who's was the youngest guy. I don't know if that record still stands, but he was at one time the youngest guy to bench 600 pounds. I think he did it like 20 years old or something. Something wild like that. And in his programming, he uses a Slingshot quite often. And my favorite thing about it, I know I'm the inventor of it, so I'm always going to be pushing it and excited about it. But my favorite thing about it, and the thing it's taught me the most, is to be faster. Because now with that thing on, you can just drop the weight and you'll still feel secure. Let's go for another double now. Here we go.
Come on. 1, 2, 3, up, out.
Start. Press. Start. Press. There you go. Nice. Woo. Oh yeah. Good work. Try a single with 5.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Come on, here we go.
Another strong press.
Pull it.
Just 1 rep this time. Get everything locked in. Feet look good, good position. Lock in that upper back. Pull those elbows in. Pull the elbows in now a little bit. There we go, good.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, up, out.
Start. Press. There you go, up and back towards the rack. There you go, nice. Good job. So you saw at the end there, he started to get a little stuck with the weight. That was 500 pounds. We took the time to throw the 2.5 on there. We got proof. Wasn't 495, it was 500 pounds. You saw him get stuck a little bit there towards the top, and I just yelled at him to push up and back. You want to push towards the beard. If you don't have this illustrious beard, you can push towards your 2nd or 3rd chin. If you don't have that many chins, then you could push towards your neck a little bit, basically. But you do want that barbell to travel in a little bit of a J shape, because if you just try to push straight, a lot of times what happens is the second that you go to push straight up, your elbows start to come out right away, and then you really have nowhere to go. In this position, same thing with like an overhead press, kind of the same thing. You can kind of maneuver your body around the barbell as you're pressing the barbell and as you're moving the barbell. It's the same thing here. As we're pressing, we're gonna just push up and back, and we're gonna glide underneath it by forcing the elbows out. Did you feel that a little bit when you were pressing?
Yeah, actually, like I pressed straight out, and that's where I got stalled. But then when you started saying to push back, started coming back, and then it went up much easier. So
give that a try in your training. It's going to make a huge difference. You want to push up and back. There's very, very few people, some shorter athletes and some people get crazy arches that can push completely straight. So when you get that advice, realize there are more than one ways to do things. Even myself telling you to bench in a little bit of on a little bit of an angle, it may or may not be for you, but it's going to work for almost all of you. My years of coaching different people and seeing so many different body types, this works for almost everybody. So pushing a little bit of a direction towards your neck. He did a lot of good things there, towards the end. Throwing the Slingshot on was ended up being really good, because we got in more work that he probably wouldn't normally be able to do unless he was trained up for a meet. So he did 455 for 2.
yeah, 475.
We got 475 for double, and then we ended here today with 500. And that's something you can use at the end of your training session for the last 3 or 4 sets. That's the way we always use it here. I don't really do workouts that are just in a Slingshot, but if you're banged up a little bit, you can use it for a week or 2. But most of the time, I just wear it for an extra 3 or 4 sets after some of the main exercises. Anyway, that is how you bench press from head to toe. This is Super Training Gym. This is my man, Forsaken Warrior, or her man, actually.
I'll be your man too.
Anyway, that's all the time we got from Super Training Gym. Thank you so much, Bodybuilding.com. Strength is never weakness. Catch you all later.